Well, certainly a good thing that that mysterious specter is gone. As you can see, there's a few changes. Most notably, I'm in black and white now. It's almost as if someone created a framing device or something. Anyway, this is my review of The Bat. This is Miss Cornelia, played by Agnes Moorehead. You might remember her as Andorra from Bewitched. Miss Cornelia is a writer, and with her maid Lizzie, they have rented the estate called the Oaks for the summer as she writes her new book. And it's here we get the legend of the serial killer called the Bat.
Now people are saying that he's back again.
Well, how can they be sure of that? Has he committed another crime?
No, not yet, but that ain't saying that he won't. Here's something else. You've heard about the bats they have here. Animal bats, the kind that fly.
Yes, yes.
Look what it says in this magazine. This is a report from the State Health Department, and it says some of them bats is rabid.
Rabid bats. They're almost as deadly as red herrings. Seriously, it goes nowhere. The next day, Andorra goes to the bank, where we meet Vic. Vic serves only two functions in this film. One, to introduce us to characters who will actually be part of the story. His wife, Dale.
I want you to meet my wife. We were married at Christmas time.
That must have been nice.
Believe me, it was. Oh, here she is.
She was 9 feet away! The second person he introduces us to, who will actually be part of the story, is Lieutenant Anderson, who is a cop who's on the board of directors of the bank, and he's also been investigating the murders of the Bat. Vic's other function in the movie is to get the plot moving. He informs Lieutenant Anderson that $1 million in bonds have been stolen, and only he and the vacationing John Fleming have the only keys to the special vault.
They were kept in our special vault. Mr. Fleming and I are the only officers of the bank who have access to that vault.
Now, reason would suggest that if there are two people who have keys to the vault, and one person is on vacation when the money is found missing, they would be the prime suspect. But no, Vic is arrested immediately, and we never see him again. Bye! Thanks for serving your function!
I did.
This is John Fleming. Don't worry, he won't be here long. But he's the only other bank manager that has the keys to that special vault. And what do you know? He's on vacation when the money was found stolen, and he's the one who stole it. What a shock. He's on vacation with his friend and doctor, Dr. Wells, played by Vincent Price.
I pinched $1 million from the bank.
Dude, I know he's your friend, but shouldn't you at least ask a feeler question?
Not that I think you wouldn't do it if you thought you could get away with it.
I got away with it. I'm not talking about currency. I took negotiable securities that could be converted into cash. I have the cash.
So you have currency. Just make up your mind.
Who's going to take the blame for the robbery?
Bailey, the cashier. They'll never suspect me.
Why? Why are you so convinced they won't suspect you? There's only two people who have the keys, and you're one of them. You're a suspect! John tells Dr. Wells that the cash, not currency, is at his home, the Oaks, the same place Andorra is renting for the summer. John wants to fake his death so he can get away with the cash, not currency, but needs Dr. Wells to push through the paperwork. And he threatens to kill him if he doesn't go along with it.
But if Bailey's going to take the blame, why'd he have to do this?
A jury might acquit him. In that case, I'd be a logical suspect.
You're a logical suspect now! But there's a plot convenience forest fire, and Dr. Wells kills John so he can have the $1 million for himself. And another brilliant criminal mastermind meets his match by foolishly explaining his plans to someone he barely knows. Back at the Oaks, Andorra and Lizzie are talking about how they don't believe in spooks, only to kind of admit that, well, yes, they believe in spooks.
Dr. Malcolm Wells is back in town with the body of John Fleming, president of the Zenith Bank, who was killed in a forest fire.
Okay, two things. One, fire victims tend to die because of asphyxiation due to the super hot air actually burning the tissue of the lungs, making the absorption of oxygen even more difficult, and they suffocate to death. Since John was dead by the time the fire got there would be no traces of asphyxiation. 2. Dr. Wells shot him at close range with a high-powered rifle. I'm pretty sure a coroner would notice the gunshot wound of that size. We get our first glimpse of the Bat, and he's trying to break his way in. And he even tries to kill Andorra until she's saved by Lizzie.
He might have got you. Oh, but he didn't, and he's still out there, thanks to you. Now, you hurry now, and we'll call the police. No, I won't leave you, Miss Corny.
Okay, I understand not wanting to be left alone, but you can and should call the police. And in fairness, they do call the police. But the Bat is trying to make his way inside.
Well, thank you very much. Come on, Lizzie. We're going to sleep in my room.
Sleep? A man just tried to break in. Brace yourselves in a room until the cops get there. Don't go to sleep.
I think that couch will be comfortable. There's some extra bedding, you know.
Yes, please.
They're taking this attempted break-in rather well.
What's that for? That, my good woman, is a booby trap. If anybody tries to open this transom, this will be knocked off, and we'll hear it fall.
So by booby trap, she means alarm. Now we get our first real look at the Bat, and he's looking very dapper, I gotta say. I love that he took the time to put the hat on over the mask.
Oh, fiddlesticks. I forgot my night things, my robe, my gown, and my slippers. I'll go get them now.
There's a man trying to break into the house. Stay where you are.
All right, I'll only be a second. Get in here, get in here.
Yeah, bad idea, wasn't it? But just then the police arrive, and the Bat then makes his escape. Only for him to return in the middle of the night, making the entire sequence useless! Good booby trap! The Bat throws, well, a bat into the room, and it flies around. Oh, I love cheap effects. The red herring Bat then bites Lizzie. Thinking he might have rabies, they immediately call for Dr. Vincent Price, but he's currently out. They ask his call service to continue trying.
Dr. Wells is out at the moment, but if you'll give me your name and number, I'll try to locate him.
Well, this is Miss Van Gorder of the Oaks. My maid has just been bitten by a bat that may be rabid, and she must have treatment as soon as possible. And I was told that Dr. Wells was the nearest physician.
I'll try to find him for you, and if I can't, I'll send you another doctor.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Oh, he's out on a case.
Okay, rabies is a curable disease, but only if it's gotten too early. It's still fatal. If you can't reach the doctor, go to the hospital. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Anderson is spying on Dr. Wells, who's experimenting on bats. The call service tells Dr. Wells about Lizzie's attack, and he leaves to go treat her. Anderson goes inside and looks for evidence that he won't be able to use in court, and he sees something evil. Curtains! That was fantastic. Dr. Vincent Price arrives, and he begins to treat Lizzie.
Doctor, have I got the rabies?
Well, I can tell you better after I've examined the bat's brain under a microscope.
That thing's got a brain?
Lizzie, right now I'm not even sure you have a brain.
Good evening, Mr.
Anderson arrives at the Oaks, and he and Vincent Price engage in a let's be as cryptic as possible contest.
A rabid bat?
Well, I'll know for sure when I get to my lab. I caught the bat.
It happened indoors?
In my bedroom, yes.
How'd it get in?
Well, there are many ways a bat could get in a house.
You ought to know. I spotted this hole in the window the minute I got here.
Why?
That's where the two-legged bat got your door open.
The police missed the broken window pane? next day, Anderson goes to Mark Fleming, John's nephew, to see if John would have stolen the money.
Oh, all Uncle John had in his bank account was a couple of $100. And his safe deposit box was empty.
If we don't find that missing million, mine will be empty, too.
How come?
Well, all my savings were invested in Zenith Bank stock. The examiners won't certify the bank as solvent until those stolen securities are found. So the stockholders have voted an assessment that will wipe some of us out.
Okay, banks make a profit. Before they would affect the stockholders, it would affect the bottom line first. And even if that's the case, banks have insurance in case of a robbery.
Judy Hollander, Bailey's secretary, is a defense witness. And they believe her testimony will have a powerful effect on the jury.
Oh, well, she has a powerful effect on me. Judy's a doll.
1950s blatant sexism. This is Judy. She's Vic's secretary and knows that John actually stole the money, and she's going to testify in court. That's all I know. Professor Radigan has tea with Andorra, Dale, Lizzie, and Judy, and they're talking about the crime.
If Mr. Fleming had the nerve to steal $1 million, he'd make his plans well in advance. I'd say he'd prepare a place to hide it. Possibly when this house was being built.
That's right. Apparently this estate is so new that the plans for stealing the cash, not currency, was all laid out, and there was a hidden room built with the exact purpose of hiding the money. As ridiculous as that sounds, it turns out Andorra is completely correct. They call Mark about looking at the floor plans so they can see if they can find the hidden room. He agrees to help them find the floor plans.
But if I find those plans, I'll let you know, Andy. Hello, Dale. Look, honey, I haven't seen those plans since I was a kid, but I'll come over tonight and maybe we can find them.
Mark arrives and snoops around instead of just announcing his presence, even though the women were all expecting him. He opens up a secret passage hidden behind the grandfather clock and finds the plans. However, the bat is there waiting for him. He kills him and he takes the plans. Okay, how did the bat know that there was a secret passage right there in that room? The women notice that the clock is out of place, and they soon find the hidden door.
There's a pal, there must be some gimmick to it. There always is. Yes, it moves.
Oh, like sliding the door. Oh yeah, huge gimmick. Dead bodies don't stand up! Lieutenant Anderson gets the call from headquarters about the homicide.
Okay.
Could I maybe have additional cops to help or something? No, murders aren't important unless they get national publicity first. This is Warner the butler. He had the night off and he's just arriving, and he immediately gets accused of murder.
Can you prove where you spent the rest of the evening?
I can try.
Try hard. But
Anderson says that he's going to stay and guard the place during the night, and he immediately begins inspecting the grounds.
I'll be back bright and early in the morning.
Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds.
What are you, send me a little beer, will you?
Well, aren't you going to finish your mail route, Mr. Cleveland?
No kidding. There's too much snow and sleet out there.
Warner gets up in the middle of the night and sees Anderson going onto the grounds. He decides he wants to incriminate himself and goes after him. The bat returns and... No! The bat returns and cuts the phone line, then goes up to the third floor, being very careful not to make a single noise. He then pulls out a mallet and chisel and starts bashing the hell out of the wall. Surprisingly, people wake up!
That noise. Oh, I don't know.
Andorra gets woken up by the loud noise and proceeds to try to call the cops, only to discover that the line has been cut. Even though he cut the line in just the one room instead of the whole house. Dale and Judy go to investigate and they discover the bat. The bat makes his escape, but he kills Judy in the process. Lieutenant Anderson enters the house and discovers the dead body. After talking over with all the servants, they discover that Warner is missing. However, Warner re-enters just at that right time.
I remember you now. Your name's not Warner. I've got a circular in my office with your picture on it. The Chicago police not so long ago were hunting for you in connection with the robbery.
You're right again, sir. And they found me and they tried me and I proved my innocence and I was acquitted.
That could have been a lucky break. Where were you when this child was killed?
I was following you. I saw you leaving the house and it seemed that you were hunting someone. I thought you might need some help. And then suddenly, as I was staring out into the darkness, I was struck by something on the back of the head. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the ground. I realized I'd been knocked out.
I wish you had been knocked out.
He just said he was! Dr. Wells enters the scene. He says he was in a car accident and he's suffering from a red herring. I mean head injury.
All right, dear, let's start a new chapter.
Now the movie introduces a framing device of Andorra telling Judy the story as she takes notes. What's the point? What's the point of introducing a framing device halfway through the story? So you see, son, my grandfather gave his thoughts on Glen or Glenda, and then an interdimensional being told him to save the world, and he did just that. The end.
That's a great story, Dad. Wait. Great-Grandpa saved the world?
Yes, he did.
Then why talk about the stupid movie review?
He was a great man.
Don't you think the story about him saving the world would have been more interesting?
Don't make me get the belt.
For days, the murders held the headlines. Lieutenant Anderson grilled us and ransacked the house from top to bottom. Warner was not placed under arrest, but his every move was watched. At night, except for a detective on guard in the house, the police and the reporters left us alone.
Everybody got that? Andorra goes into the room that the bat was in and notices the hole that he was making. Then, for some reason, goes and looks into the next room. I have no idea why. Meanwhile, Warner leaves because that's the best thing to do when people suspect you of murder. We now cut to the bat, leaving a suicide note in Vincent Price's lab. But Vincent Price arrives, and since he's a doctor, he's packing heat. The Hippocratic Oath can go straight to hell. But instead of killing him and just getting the money, he has to monologue. The bat then fights Vincent Price's stuntman, because that seems fair. Really? No music for the fight scene? Okay, I'll help you guys out. Dr. Wells gets killed, so... well, I guess he's not the bat. Andorra starts hitting the fireplace because... well, just because. And it opens to find a hidden room with the safe. But it closes, trapping her inside. Fortunately, Lizzie's bewitched sense goes off. I'm not even kidding.
Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Housekeeper,
Lizzie finds that the cop assigned to guard the place has been drugged, and they both know something is very wrong with Andorra.
I've got trouble here. Well, for one thing, I was drugged. Yeah. But I must have been knocked out because the maid tells me Miss Van Gorder is missing.
I can't breathe. There's no air.
The room made of stone, plaster, and wood is airtight.
Here we are, Miss Van Gorder. What do we do now?
Over the mantel, there are 5 panels. Strike it with your hand.
Okay, if she's able to talk to them, then it's not airtight. Lizzie and the cop find her, and they're able to open up the fireplace.
Like a box. When the mantelpiece closed, it seemed like all the air was drawn out of it. Look, there it goes again.
Let it close. I can open it from in here. There's a control panel behind this blueprint.
Andorra was trapped in a room and didn't even try to see if there was a switch or anything.
I believe that the fireplace in this other room
And she calls Darren an idiot. The bat sets the garage on fire in an attempt to scare them away.
Lizzie, put that light out in the other room. Now, where are you going?
To report the fire.
Where are you just stay right here.
But Miss Van, go to the garage.
Well, let it burn. You watch the stair. Can't you see that fire was set to get us out of the house?
Out of the house? Were you talking about the...
Yes, I'm talking about the bat. Now that the lights are out, he'll think his trick has worked, and we've gone. He'll be here any minute.
Okay, a few things. 1. Most people don't turn off their lights when there's a fire. They simply run. 2. The bat set the fire off in order to scare you guys away. He's probably watching the house to see if you guys are out before he goes in to get the money. 3. You can still report the fire to get the authorities there. However, the druggy cop decides to set a trap for the bat, and he gets killed. The bat obviously is suffering from the same condition that Vincent Price had, and he monologues instead of just outright killing them. However, as he's talking, he gets killed by a man in silhouette.
That is Warner. I could tell.
But it turns out that Warner was actually the man in silhouette, and the bat was Lieutenant Anderson all along.
Good old Andy. With all his ill-gotten gains invested in bank stock. It's rather a clever way to hide stolen money. In the open, as it were. And so respectable. But don't try it. No matter how clever you are, you can't hide murder. Well, that's it, Dale. That's the end.
And that's the bat. And it's stupid. But the more times you think about it, the dumber it gets. We see the bat steal the plans in order to find a location for this hidden room. Anderson was in the office with Mark when that conversation was happening, so he knew about the plans. That makes sense.
But if I find those plans, I'll let you know.
The other 2 times he was there was trying to get to the room in order to get to the money. That makes sense. However, why was he there at the beginning? That doesn't make any sense. He's just there to attempt to kill these people when he has no motive to. And why make the bat a serial killer with this long legend behind him? It doesn't make any sense for Anderson later on in the movie. Especially when you consider the only reason he was trying to get the money was to stop himself from being bankrupt because of the stockholders meeting.
Well, all my savings were invested in Zenith Bank stock. The examiners won't certify the bank is solvent until those stolen securities are found. So the stockholders have voted an assessment that will wipe some of us out.
If you're a fan of B-movies, it's okay. But it's kind of slow and the acting is not very good, but there are some genuinely funny moments. Then he finished his review of The Bat. The end.
What does that have to do with Great-Grandpa saving the world?
I miss my grandpa.
He saved the world! Tell me that story!
Next time, I think I might tell you about when he looked at the Terror of Tiny Town.
What does the movie have to do with Great-Grandpa?
They were his passion. They were a part of him. Saving the world is something he did, but that doesn't tell us about the man himself. When you look at his passions, you learn his heart. If you remember his heart, his soul, then he'll always be with us.
You see? You see? Your stupid minds. Stupid! Stupid!